fabulous week. Hope you operated with a lot of passion in your week and created the most amazing results. Today I want to talk to you about something that had, if not the greatest impact, that took me from failure to success. It's in the top 2. And it's attitude. Attitude is the one thing that takes us to the top or keeps us stuck, no matter how talented, how smart you are. Attitude is everything. I remember years ago, my great mentor, Bob Proctor, and I were talking. And he said, I want to share something with you that my mentor, old Nightingale, taught me. And I said, yeah, like my antennas just picked up. And he said, your attitude towards life is going to be life's attitude towards you. And I remember one day, months later, I was stuck. And I called him for some help. And he said, well, why do you think you're stuck? And I said, because I'm letting the outside control me. I'm letting the results control my thinking. And he said, that's a dumb idea, Arash. And I said, you're right, it is. But I said, it's easier said than done. He said, well, I'm going to share a lesson with you that one of my mentors taught me. And he said, if you get this, it's going to change the game. And I was like super excited to get this lesson. And he said, anyone can have a great attitude when things are going well. He said, the true pros in life have an even better attitude when things are not going as well. And that moment, everything changed for me. Now, nothing in my results changed that moment, but everything changed. And I couldn't get my mind off of committing to really develop a positive mental attitude. And I spent the next 2 years, if you've been following me for any time, you know this story. I've spent the next 2 years studying attitude. But the truth is, I've never stopped studying my attitude. You know, attitude is the controlling factor of success. It determines how you see things, how you respond, how you create, the type of ideas you're accepting or not. So you have to understand, attitude is always a compounding effect on our life. And like if you show me your results, I'll tell you your attitude towards yourself. I'll tell you your attitude towards money. I'll tell you your attitude towards your health. I just need to talk to you for 10 seconds and I'm going to pick up your attitude. Well, if I can pick that up, what do you think the universe is picking up? That's why so many people will talk about what they don't want. What do you think that's doing? All you're doing is drawing it to you. That's all you're doing. It's the number one factor we're in control of. Nobody controls our attitude but us. Nobody. Now, have you ever thought, you can have anything you want. Why do you spend your time obsessing on what you don't want? Like it's an obsession problem people have. They're obsessing in the wrong area. I want you to obsess about your magnificent future. I want you to understand you can have it all. You know, earlier today, I was working with a client, Osama, great guy, just absolutely phenomenal man. And he said, Arash, over the last 9 months, I went and earned 1.2 million in 9 months. And he came to me today and he said, I want you to show me how to do that in 3 months. And I said, and he gave me all the credit. I said, don't give me the credit, you did it. You did the work. And I gave it right back to him. But he's a great student. But you know what I started working with him on today? I said, we got to change your attitude from 9 months to 3 months. And time is just a tool. We're the only creatures on this planet who go by time. You know, my dogs don't go by time. If you have dogs, your dogs don't go by time. And what you've got to understand is we want to set aggressive timelines and leverage the universe. And the more convicted you are in what you want and who you are, you're going to bring it to you literally at warp speed. But I want you to ask yourself, what is a negative attitude? Every time you're complaining, negative. Every time you are letting somebody else or the outside world control you, negative attitude. Every time you give into resistance, negative attitude. Every time you blame, negative attitude. Every time you gossip, negative attitude. Then you have a positive attitude every time you're expecting, every time you act on ideas, every time you sprint out of your comfort zone. Every time you see an obstacle as an opportunity, positive, 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 positive. And then we have the most powerful form of attitude, which is neutral, where we're right in the middle. We're going with the flow. It's where our greatest power is. And then we have our greatest attitudes. Our greatest attitude is faith and gratitude. See, most people go to church on Sunday and think they have faith, but the rest of the week they're operating with a negative mental attitude. I want you to remember both faith and gratitude are a verb. They only work if you do it. So understand, I want everybody to look at their income right now. Your income will tell you your attitude. And any result you could look at, like right now, you guys may be watching and said, this dude's full of crap. That's your attitude. Like, I know that I know what I'm telling you will change your life. But how many of you are sitting there, it's Friday, it could be you're anywhere in the world thinking, you know what? I am committed to changing my life. That is the attitude of a winner. When you have real goals, you connect it with changing your life, winning attitude. When you understand that wealth isn't something you chase, it is always coming from us, then back to us, winning attitude. That's called awareness. When you stop gossiping and start working on you, where nobody sees you, behind the scenes, winning attitude. Morning routine, winning attitude. Every 3 hours, seeing what you want, winning attitude. Taking action with a swagger, winning attitude. So if you're losing right now, I'm going to tell you why. It's your attitude. It's not your potential. Everyone has potential. So we've got to take attitude very closely and understand your attitude is a reflection of your identity. They're very closely related. And I want you to lock into it. If you want to change your results, you have to start with changing your attitude. But the most important attitude you have to change is how you see yourself. I want you to have an enormous image of yourself, attitude. You're working with a bigger attitude. You're working with a bigger idea of yourself. You can't control circumstances, but you can control how you respond to them, attitude. I hope you're getting this. So I want you to ask yourself right now, what is my attitude right now? Am I expecting big things? Am I expecting everything to work out in my favor? That's the attitude that I want you to have. But then, attitude isn't enough. We have to align our actions because your attitude is your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. That's what attitude is that create the results. What happens is every thought you accept goes out in the universe, and the universe boomerangs it back to you, but it's also going inside your subconscious mind at the exact same time. That creates a feeling. Feeling is conscious awareness of what vibration you're in, and that vibration goes out in the universe, and the universe brings it right back to us. But it doesn't just go out in the universe, it goes inside our body, which creates the actions that we take or don't take, which create our results. So attitude is going to change your life. Now, I want you, from this moment, I don't care if you had the worst attitude this week. That's the past. From this moment on, I want you to study attitude over and over and over again. Just go search my YouTube page. I have so many different lessons on attitude. Why? Because it creates all our results. Now, if anyone has any questions, I'll stay on and answer as many questions I can in the time I have right now.
Okay, Arash. First question is from Isabella. How do you know when your mindset has actually shifted, not just temporarily changed?
Isabella, I gotta thank you. Like, you come on every time I do these and ask questions. So I want to congratulate you for that. Number one, you're gonna know your mindset has shifted because you're thinking differently. You're having bigger thoughts. You're thinking on why you can, not why it won't work. And you're gonna start taking actions that you never took before. That's how you're gonna know your mindset is shifting. But do you know that's how you're gonna know not just your mindset is shifting, you've had a paradigm shift. But what I want you to do is I want you to focus on your standard of thinking. I want you to think bigger than you've ever thought. From this moment on, we have less than I want you to believe bigger. How do you believe bigger? You just accept a bigger idea, and I want you to act faster. If you're willing to do that, you're going to see your results change in warp speed.
Okay, awesome. Matt is asking, how do you set goals that challenge you without overwhelming you?
Well, the only reason we're ever overwhelmed because we lost the present moment. So any goal I set, the only way it can overwhelm me is if I didn't accept the goal. So the minute you set a goal, you've got to accept it. It is done. Creation is already finished. Like if you look at these cell phones, like my cell phone, like this was here many years ago. Somebody just had to tap onto that idea on that frequency to create it. But you want to understand, if you are overwhelmed, you don't have a goal. You may have something written down, but until you radically accept the goal, like this is what I'm going to trade my life for, because our goals are what we're trading our life for. We're spending our energy on creating it, and you're in overwhelm, then you don't have a goal, you have a wish or a hope, and you're separate from it. But when you radically accept the goal, this is done, and you start working on chasing your greatness, so you upgrade your standards, you focus on what the 3 most important goal-achieving activities are every day, it's impossible to get overwhelmed.
Okay, great. So JJ is saying, how can I avoid going back to old habits when I start getting stressed out?
Well, once again, what are you getting stressed out about? You got to be in control of your mind. Remember, our greatest responsibility is how we think. So a lot of the stressors are not even real. So I don't want you to spend another second, JJ, thinking you're going to go back. If you think you're going to go back, you're already living in the past. All you're doing is projecting something you don't want in the future that doesn't exist, but because you're thinking of it so strongly, you're creating it in your future. Don't spend a second thinking about going back. I just want you to think about upgrading your habit. This is what I want you to do. I want you to send me a message of what is the one habit, I call it a pinnacle habit, that will bring all your habits up from now until the end of the year that you are going to implement inside of you. But I just need you to do them 1% better every day. You do that by the rule of compounding effect. In 90 days, you're going to be 37 times better. I want you to send it to me. But I don't want you to send it to me tomorrow. I want it to, everything you do, I want you to do right away. That gives you the weapon so you can never go back. And I want you to message it to me, and I will support you with it. That's what I want you to do. But I don't want you to be a not right now person. You know, those are where the losing attitudes are. I want everything to be done right away, right away, right away. And all you're going to do is see the benefits of it.
Okay, great. Okay, JJ, you know what you need to do. So this is from Felix. I'm Felix. How do you create an identity that aligns with leadership, not just following?
Well, you got to understand the key characteristics of leadership. First of all, how you create an identity that aligns with the leader. You see yourself, you say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a world-class leader. I lead by example. My word is my bond. Everything I say I'm going to do, I do. And I constantly am rising people up. My job as a leader is to create leaders under me. So that's the identity of a leader. The greatest leadership quality you're ever going to find is somebody that leads by example. But that is their word, if they say they're going to do it, it's their bond. And they are so obsessed with helping the people under them. You know, Felix, I'll tell you this. I work in a lot of companies that hire me. The first thing I do is I ask them, tell me what your team wants. Do you know 9 out of 10 have no idea what their team wants? They may have a leader, they may be a leader by title, but they're not a leader. How can you lead if you don't know what somebody wants? So I want everybody that I train to be better than me. That's my job. I have no ego in this. My job, a great leader, never limits. So you want to start working on, really the first thing is extreme ownership. Everything you take ownership because it comes from the leader down. And number 2 is lead by example. Number 3, care about people. I want you to love more. I want you to care bigger. I want you to think bigger, because your whole team follows whoever you're leading. If you have a team, it's going to follow the attitude of the leader.
How do you make discipline part of who you are instead of something you feel like you're forcing to do?
Well, you got to understand what discipline is. Discipline is not your activities. That's the effect. When we act, that's an effect. The cause is always our thinking. So discipline is your ability to think in a certain way. So the most important discipline that we have to have is discipline our mind to only focus on what we want, only focus on how we can get better, only focus on our opportunities. And when you do that, discipline will become a part of your identity. When you're forcing discipline, you're willing it. Your will has no chance because your imagination is stronger than your will. And your imagination is always going to go back to what you give it most of the time. So if you want to build discipline, every day is day one. And I want you to own your mindset. I want you to only accept ideas that are in harmony with your goal. And as you do that, discipline is going to be simple. And I'll tell you this, I used to be the most undisciplined person you'll ever meet. You know, I am telling you this, like my wife's on the other end right now reading this, she knows it. Like I was super undisciplined. And if this dude can create amazing discipline, so can you. But I remember one of the first conversations I had with my mentor, he said the prerequisite to success is you have to be disciplined. I go, well, I'm out. And he started laughing. And he goes, what do you mean you're out? I said, I'm a great starter and a terrible finisher. Like I would start things so fast. And then in the middle, I would never follow through. And I will tell you, and he said, the only reason you're like that is because you don't understand it. And he said, you're missing the right direction. And he said, once you have the right direction, discipline's going to be a piece of cake. And he was right. It's been such a huge part of my life.
Okay, so Diego is asking, how do you rebuild momentum after you've fallen off track?
Well, you got to get into action right away. First of all, a lot of people are really beating themselves up. You know, like you said, you're falling off track. And yeah, maybe you did, but you got to really get back on the track. So how do you get back on the track? You've got to be very intentional and you've got to act on ideas right away. I don't even like that idea of falling off track. I think it's giving your mind such a bad suggestion that means I'm not good enough. See, here's another opportunity, I'm not good enough. So even if you fall off track, what I want you to do is, I can't get yesterday back, but today's a new day. And I'm gonna have the very best day of my life. And here's the reason people fall off track. They never commit to chasing their greatness. They're always going for attainment. Attainment isn't what we're here for. I want you all to have more than enough. I want you to have bigger things. I want you to have more money, better relationships, more passion than you can imagine. But to do that, you've got to compete against yourself. And you've got to compete upwards. And you've got to fall in love with beating who you were yesterday. That's the only competition. I'm always coaching people. Is it Diego?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always coaching people, Diego, to compete upwards. Well, why do I tell them to compete upwards? Because I'm going to introduce them to a version of them they've never met before. And that's what we want to do.
Okay, awesome. This is a question from Elias asking, Arash, how did you get rid of the habit of overthinking?
I'll tell you exactly how I get rid of it. I created a new attitude that changed my life, which is I activated my I don't give an F muscle. My back was so far, Elias, against the wall at this point, where before I would always want other people's opinions. Then my back was so against the wall, I said, screw it. I'm just going to activate this I don't give an F muscle. So everything I did right away. I did immediately. You know, overthinking is the greatest sabotager of our life. It creates more problems. It doesn't create solutions. And that's why doing it now changed my life. But I want you to try this for yourself. I want you for the next week to just start with this moniker, I'm activating my I don't give an F muscle. And you watch the spirit you're going to have. You watch the flow state you're going to create. But I don't want you to have a plan B. People with plan B are losing. It's only plan A, plan A, plan A, plan A, and I want you to burn your bridges, and I want you to go after it with a spirit that it is impossible to fail. We've got to operate our day like we were a beginner. And then we have to operate our day with the attitude that it is impossible to fail.
Okay, NC is asking, how do you stop chasing perfection and focus on progress?
Perfection is just a game of the ego. So you got to kill off your ego. Your ego is not your amigo. Anybody who's a perfectionist is driven by the ego. The ego tries to get you to compare to other people. The ego tries to remind you of what you didn't do. But that's where perfectionism is. You got to kill off your ego. That's the only way you could do it.
Okay, thank you. Olivia is asking, how long does it really take to lock in a new habit?
It could take a moment. Like, the best way to lock in a new habit is start behaving like that person. I've told this story many times. I was in Las Vegas with my friends. And one morning, I wanted to get a workout in. And I get on this treadmill, and there was this app called Peloton, before Peloton really blew up. Well, I got on it, and I loved it. I ran like 300 days in a row on this app. I got so many people to buy Peloton, I should have been reimbursed. I was like their brand ambassador. But I created running as a habit literally overnight. So I've created habits instantly, and I've created them over time. So it depends on if you really are committed to that habit and fall in love with that idea like I did. And I expect myself to create a new habit instantaneously, because anything I want, and this is what you could learn from my model, because it works every time. Anything I want, I go all in and do whatever it takes. Most people are negotiating with themselves. Now, the old me, I get it. I used to have a losing attitude. I had a losing bank account. I was losing in a lot of ways, so I could relate more than you think. But when you start behaving your way into new attitude, I'm telling you, what is a habit? It's a form of attitude. But what also is habit? It's your identity. Habit equals identity. So I want you to think, what is a habit that would serve me the greatest if this is how it was already automatic? And when you've created a habit, because it's going to be harder not to do than to do. But I want you to start expecting it to happen overnight.
Okay, great. Kelly is saying, Arash, you always talk about raising my standard, and I love that, about my standard. How do I get others around me to raise their standards too?
Just by your example. Communicating how important standard is. Standard always wins. I was working with this group, Kelly, that I'm coaching right now, and I told them this week. I said, most people are letting their feelings dictate their standards. They have it backwards. We have to have our standards drive our feelings. So I would say, to the environment you're talking to, standards changed my life. Standards is who we are. What we tolerate is our standard. And I want to really help you transform your life, whatever you're in. Maybe they're in your company. And I want you to tell them, I want you to think about what you want the most. And I want you to tell me what 3 standards would change your life. And those are the ones I want to help you incorporate. The example in your stories with your connection to standard is going to change your environment completely.
Okay, Jason's asking, how do I know if my identity is holding me back?
Oh, just by asking the question, that's a yes. Just by asking the question, it's a yes. Somebody wouldn't ask that question if they already had a great identity. I will tell you that right now. So don't be upset about it, but understand identity is the foundation of our programming. So your identity creates your results. So Jason, the thing you got to ask yourself is, do I have the current results that I really want? And if the answer is yes, then great. You have the identity that's aligned with your goal. If it's no, then you got to upgrade your identity.
Okay, so here's another identity question. What's the link between identity and confidence?
Well, confidence is somebody who has a great identity, but how do you get confidence? That's a better question. You get it through awareness and doing. You can't just get it through awareness and not do. So it has to be a visceral experience is how you get confidence. Confidence is a part of your identity. Self-esteem is part of your identity. So you've got to understand, for any goal that you want to achieve, you have to have great confidence. Like every goal I set in the beginning, it tells me that I don't have the courage yet or the confidence yet. It doesn't mean I'm not going to have the courage, and it doesn't mean I'm not going to grow into the confidence, but I'd already achieved the goal if I already had the courage and confidence.
Okay, great. So Anna is asking, how do you stay disciplined without becoming rigid and rigorous?
Well, you never want to be rigid or mechanical, because now Your analytical mind is driving the bus. So discipline is the prequel to freedom. A lot of people think discipline is a punishment. Discipline is when you're free. Think about when you're disciplined about something. You're not rigid about it. It's just part of you. Discipline is where it's harder not to do than to do. But if you're connecting it right now to rigidness, then you don't understand discipline. That's not what discipline is. I don't want you to be rigid in anything you do. I want you to be free-flowing. I want you to be loose. You know, most people are too serious. And I want you to be loose, but discipline is, if you want to create an absolutely world-class life, you have to have great discipline.
Okay, Sophia's saying, Arash, you have achieved a lot of goals already. How do you keep raising your goals now, like once you've achieved them?
Because I'm obsessed with getting better. I'm obsessed with serving at a higher level. I don't look at once I achieve a goal, I'm proud of it, but I don't stop, because there's no limit to where I can go. There's no limit to where you could go. So I don't tie my goal into my identity and say, oh, now you didn't drink my Kool-Aid. I have such a big vision. And I always say, you know, it was probably 18, 19 years ago now. I've been studying this a long time. Something got activated in me that lit me up, that has never dimmed down. And so for me, goals are about growing who I am. It's about helping other people. So I don't look at it like, oh, I achieved these certain amount of goals. I think I'm just getting started. Go watch my content from 6 months ago, watch it now. Look how much better it is, because I keep working at it every day. Every day I want to keep impacting people. Like, my goal is to impact and change millions of people's lives, and I'm going to do it. But in order to do it, my audience demands me to continue to grow, and that is such a driving force for me.
Okay, Andy's asking, how do I stay focused on long-term goals when there's distractions that are popping up?
Well, there's always going to be distractions, so you got to build your focus. So in order to build focus, you have to observe your commitment. If you don't have an all-in commitment, you're going to be distracted by a lot of things. You know, I always quote the book by Jim Collins, Good to Great. The average individual every year wastes 13 weeks a year in distraction. But what I found, and I know this to be an absolute 100% fact, the reason people get distracted because they lack commitment. People think because they have a goal, they're committed. There's only one way to be committed. You're all in or you're all out. It's not 90% in. And that doesn't mean you don't lose days. It means that you keep going even when you're not at your best. See, to be all in, it's doing things when you feel like it, when you're highly motivated. It's doing things even when you don't feel like it. And it's doing things in the middle. You know, so that's what will cause you to be distracted.
Okay, Brianna's asking, how do you raise your standards without burning out?
Oh, standards and burning out have nothing in common. If you're doing that, you're forcing it. We don't force. Standard is drawing a line in the sand. I'm never going under this. There's no burnout there. It's just the acceptance of an idea.
Okay, Anthony wants to know, how can I stay mentally sharp when I feel like my results are taking longer than I expected?
Well, the results are taking the amount of time based on the intensity of your thinking and the quality of your actions. They're not taking longer. The universe has no delays. So what I'd encourage you to do is observe not just what you're thinking, observe how you're thinking with the conviction of how you're thinking and the conviction of your actions. If you want to speed it up, you make every decision from your future self. And then I want you to look at your environment, Anthony. I want you to look, who is stretching you? Who is holding you accountable? Who are you getting your coaching from? Or are you doing it all by yourself? That's going to cause delays like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, Danny's asking, how can I stop negative self-talk when I'm pushing towards a big goal?
Well, why would you ever have negative self-talk? Do you want to sabotage the hell out of yourself? Let me ask you this. Like, you want a big goal. We don't push for a big goal. We attract it by the person we become. So do you think talking negatively to yourself is serving you? You know it's not, so stop doing it. You're actually pushing yourself away from that big goal. You've got to be so good to yourself. If you're not good to yourself and talk really kindly and empowering to yourself, all you're doing is beating yourself up. Now, would you let me come to your house and hit you upside the head with a baseball bat? Well, you know you wouldn't let me do that, so why are you doing it to yourself? Remember, change is always linguistic first. And so we have to speak the same language of our goal. Give me a second. I have a book that I had on my desk that I want to read you. Yes. Let me read this to you. Who asked this question again?
Danny.
Danny, I want you to just follow my words. And this is all about language. It says, man attracts what he is. The art of life is to sustain the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let things come to you. Now, here's the part I want you to lock in. Observe your inner talking and remember your goal. Do they match? Does your inner talking match what you would say audibly had you achieved the goal? The individual's inner speech and actions attract the conditions of his life. Through uncritical self-observation of your inner talking, you find where you are in the inner world, and where you are in the inner world is what you are in the outer world. You put on a new man whenever ideals, that's an idea you're in love with, that's what ideals is, and inner speech match. In this way alone can a new man be born. So you've got to make sure you talk so well to yourself.
Okay, Chris is saying, how do I stop comparing myself to others and just trust my own journey?
Well, you got to get comfortable in your skin, Chris. You know, I understand the question, and that's what the game of the ego is. It's always comparing to others. The only person that I want you to compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. That's the only person. And you do that, I promise you, you're going to have the best attitude. You're going to create the greatest amount of success. But I don't want you to compare to anybody. I don't compare myself to anybody. The only person I am competing against is who I was yesterday. And comparison is a bad game. So I had a client who was in my World Class Wealth event, and he wants to be a coach. And he came to me at the break and he said, Arash, I'm watching what you're doing and I'm thinking I'm so far away. I said, why would you compare against me? I said, I've been doing this for over 18 years. I've been studying it for over almost 21 years now. And I said, don't compare it to that. I said, compare it to who you were yesterday. And that's the only way we want to compare, and that's going to set you free.
Okay, great. Arash, how can we get in touch with you if we are wanting to learn more about coaching?
Well, send me a message. Send a message to my text line, and we'll put it in the chat for you. And then also just, follow me on Instagram. Send me a direct message there. I want to help you change your life. I mean, that's why I do what I do. But you've got to help yourself by making the first step. When you make that first step, everything's going to be magical. I was talking to a client about an hour ago, and if she's on here, I don't know if she is or isn't. I've been working closely with her. Her name's Jan. And she came to my World Class Wealth event. And since that event, in one day, she had 22 sales, 22 new clients in one day. She's blown away. And I'll tell you what I told her today. I go, Jan, I'm just so proud that you're doing the work. The results always is a natural part of doing the work. And she goes, now I'm seeing it, Arash. She goes, 22 sales. I can't even remember the last time I did that. And she did it in one day. How awesome is that? But I want you to be that if that's what you want for yourself. But she is such a wonderful woman who deserves the best, and now she's getting the right direction. The only thing I tell everybody this, the only thing people are missing is direction. Imagine how valuable would it be if you had me in your corner. You had me telling you exactly what to do and how to do it. If you had somebody like me who had your back, I have all my clients backed. Imagine what that would do. You guys got to stop hiding. I have another client. She's been wanting to work with me forever, Rubina. I love this lady. She came to my live event in London. She has been working on attracting the money to work with me for a year and a half, and now she's doing it. Now she's there. I am so happy for her. But see, here's the thing we got to do. We've got to set ourselves up to win. Some people won't even contact, even though they want the help, and they lie to themselves. They say, oh, I'm not ready. You're never ready for a thing until you do it. So if you want to change your life, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, text me. Just get in touch with me and I will help you.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth is asking, what closed the gap between desire and execution for you?
Doing it now. That was the thing that changed the game. Doing it now and behaving before I was ready was changing the game. You got to understand, I was losing at the highest level. This isn't really a badge of honor for me, but I put myself in so many clients I had with my mentor. He told me how much it was going to cost. To me, it was like $1 million. To me, it was so much money. But all I could think about is my way was not working. And that's all I could think about. And I thought, the thousands and thousands that I spent, I was already $150,000 in debt. What the hell? What was another 15, 20,000? And so, but I said, I've got to turn this in to execution. And I committed to turning it into a game and did exactly what he told me, and everything changed.
Thank you. Carla is asking, how do you replace destructive habits with empowering ones?
I'll give you, it's super easy. You've got to remind yourself that to change, it requires truth and honesty. So what I want you to do is decide how you want to live, and then I want you to write out who I'm not going to be anymore. That's going to be your destructive habits. And then you're going to do the opposite. You're going to decide who I'm going to be. And right now, I guarantee your destructive habits is your identity. Your destructive habit is procrastinating. Your destructive habits is not honoring your word. You're always negotiating with yourself. I'm just giving you a few that I bet you they are, But when we eliminate them, so the first thing we have to do is identify our hidden patterns that are creating all these subconscious blocks. But if we're not honest with ourselves, we can't get rid of them.
Okay, Arash, this is going to be our last question, unless by the time I ask it, we have some more come in. This is from Thomas. How do you become comfortable embodying a bigger identity than your current results?
By action. Action is your best friend. It's visualizing you already with the behaviors of that person. You combine those two, you're going to embody it like this.
Okay. Well, someone snuck in. John B. Hey, John B. So I knew somebody would sneak in. John B is, give me 1 second, is saying, happy Friday team, truly appreciate all you do. Now recovering from a period in my life where I experienced a significant business learning with a certain rebuilding. And I'm ashamed to admit this, but this time around landing a deal, found myself sabotaging it.
Say that again?
I think it's, oh, sorry. He continued his question. After landing a deal, I found myself fear of not being able to produce to the point. I feel frozen in the fear of not being able to produce to the point where I procrastinate, when a few years ago I was thriving using the same business model and type of work.
Yeah, so number one, anytime we're procrastinating, we're sabotaging ourselves. So even when you fail, John V, I want you to look at the lessons in it. I don't believe there's anything like failure is even real. I think it's only a lesson or a blessing. But when you identify yourself from a setback as a failure, you're imprinting that as your identity. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to tell me over the next, between now and the end of the year, so 95 days, what are you going to create? Let's let go of what's not working. Focusing on what we didn't do, that's not it, okay? I want you to put all your energy to what you're going to do. And I want you to go in at an all-in level, and I want you to steal my mindset. I know you could do this. I don't wonder if you could do it. I know you can. You have the same potential inside of you that I have inside of me. We're all the same. But we've got to apply the right processes. That's what most people don't have. They are doing things that they're working their butt off. They want it so badly, but they don't have the right processes. Our processes always create our results by default.
Okay, thank you. And he said, sorry for the long question.
You're good, no
right.
problem. All right, I want to thank all of you for doing this. If you enjoy this, I'll keep doing it whenever I have time on Fridays. But get in contact with me. I want to help you. I hate watching people struggle because you don't have to struggle. Do you understand that? Struggling is an option. You don't have to, but you definitely need to understand every goal you have, every dream you have demands certain processes, and they're all different for every person depending on their goal. But I want to help you. Text me message me, fax me, telegram me, whatever you need to do, because I want to help you. I'm really good at what I do. And my clients' results tell the story. And my clients are my biggest heroes. I want you to be my next hero. I want you to be the most coachable person I know. But stop sitting on the fence being a watcher. Go all in with yourself. Do you know, if you just go all in, you and me, I'm going to have your back forever. You know, because I love my clients. And you're my next one that I'm going to transform. I hope everyone has an awesome weekend. Take care.